Hello and welcome to FinextraTV at EBAday 2020. Kindly calling in right now is Silvia Mensdorff, who's going to be talking to us about spicing up real-time payments. So Silvia, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm actually in The Hague. Unfortunately, we're not in person, but I'm really looking forward to this conversation about payments.
No problem at all. And of course, this year, 2020, has highlighted the importance of being able to move money instantly and digitally, and that's really what I want to talk about. So that might be for the individual, businesses or corporates. So with this in mind, could you talk us through some of the opportunities real-time payments presents for the industry and also society perhaps?
Absolutely. So I think, COVID is impacting us all, right? If it's not brought us sorrow, it's brought us significant challenges to all of our lives and our businesses. But, the beauty in every challenge is it brings opportunity and new developments. And it's for sure accelerated digitalization across the globe. And one of the important parts of digitalization is secure and fast payments, and it's a very exciting time to be part of the industry. When we turn to real-time payments, the progress over the last couple of years has been fantastic. There are now 56 countries live across the globe, and if you see what the really new developments are, is in three cases really. It's around overlay services, like request to pay, and they're really the missing puzzle to start adding more value into real-time payments and payments as we go. And every region is taking different ways of looking at that onto that. Then obviously real-time payments brings a lot of operational and cost efficiencies that I think businesses are bringing more and more into their operations, and that's really exciting. And we can see that in P27s and SEPA Inst here in Europe. And it's obviously a critical time to support cross-border real-time payments versus just in-country real-time payments. And then the other exciting bit is we're seeing more and more corporates pick up real-time payments. Specifically insurance companies to expedite payouts, but also governments expediting payouts as part of some of their COVID initiatives. So that's a really interesting space to work in.
Mm-hmm. And just homing in a bit more on the real-time processing sort of part of things, how do you think this is changing the way we're approaching payments today, maybe as more the individual, and how do you think it's likely to develop going forward? Do you think there's going to be an acceleration in this space?
Absolutely. So real-time payments are obviously not just about being fast, but they're about being precise and transparent, but also adding value. In fact, real-time payments is the biggest industry opportunity that we have, right? So, and it's going to enable us to spice it up, as I like to say it, because you're going to be able to add a lot more value going into it. And that really comes in when we develop these overlay services, where we're adding a lot more of the information of the customer's journey, whether that is a consumer or a corporate, and using that to add value into the payment as we deliver it. And request to pay, to me, is really a missing link there that we're seeing developed more and more across this. So that's really driving that. And I've had a great example of how request to pay helps in the COVID pandemic. In my neighborhood here, we've got this beautiful Italian ice cream parlor. And the funny thing was, it was like the last bastion of not enabling electronic payments. You had to pay with cash for your ice cream. And pandemic hit, they closed the shop, and they opened up again, and you could order through Facebook. They would send you a request to pay on your mobile phone, and then you just could go and pick up your ice cream there. So I thought that was a great way of bringing digitalization to something that was basically a cash-based business.
Yes, that's brilliant. So taking all of that into account then, of course, this is going to demand that the industry collectively recognize and address the potential mistakes, right, that could accompany them particularly as more real-time business cases and overlay services emerge. So what I really want to know is sort of what hurdles are left still to jump, and how do you think we can jump them?
Well, so I think there, depending on countries, there is still a lot of take-up that needs to take place. So the volume's relatively low versus other countries where the volumes is pretty high. So my home country of the Netherlands, real-time payments is really the new normal. But as volumes ramp up, I think what we'll see is a lot more emphasis on fraud detection and avoiding mistakes, because it's going to be a really interesting ground for fraudsters to come in and try and take advantage. And what'll happen is the industry will have to focus a lot more on preventing that. But on top of that, I believe that governments are going to start coming in and making scheme rules and regulations more complex to provide some more protection. And then it's going to be interesting how do you then, when you do cross-border, align those different schemes and kind of align the regulation globally so it becomes a lot more transparent. It has a tendency to be able to become very complex, especially to corporates.
And one of the really important areas in staying competitive and sort of joining forces is building these valuable partnerships, and this might have perhaps become even more important this year. So what are your thoughts around this, and what are some of the exciting things you're working on at FIS Global?
Yeah, no, obviously. So payments is all about partnerships. It's lovely because you're usually each other's customers, each other's competitors, and each other's partners all in one big glob. It's really figuring out where you fit. And so there are a lot of partnerships that we're working on, obviously around request to pay and instant and SEPA Insta across Europe. But one thing that I'm really excited about is combining kind of the bank, the corporate, and the merchant space. And that's going to allow us to be really the next frontier of real-time payments, combining all these schemes and focusing on making it seamless, enabling corporate payments across the globe. And really driving that forward. And there's going to be lots of opportunities for different players in the industry to partner into that. So that's a really exciting thing to look out for and launch in the coming months.
So watch this space, I think it's safe to say then, Silvia.
Absolutely. And, I've been in payments for 20 years. It's always been an exciting space. I always laugh because I enjoy paying. And that's only a professional deformation. But as we bring these things forward, it's really spicing up payments. It's going to enable us to add a lot more value into people's lives. And again, the pandemic, with all its drawbacks, is really proving how, as an industry, we can step up and support everybody in getting us through this.
So I think it's safe to say, watch this space, some exciting developments ahead.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to all the developments, spicing up payments as we get through this pandemic.
Brilliant. So Silvia, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for calling in. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.